Most people don't know they're living an illusion, because illusion feels normal when you've been raised inside it. You've been told to chase success, please others, suppress your intuition, and smile through pain. But deep down, something in you resists. You felt it. The tightness, the misalignment, the sense that you're off track. Not because you're broken, but because you're not being fully honest with your soul. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about resonance. About remembering how it feels to walk a path that's truly yours. In this video, we'll unveil 7 deep truths that reveal whether you're living in alignment or just following a script that was never yours to begin with. You might think you're on the right path because it feels familiar. But here's the truth. Familiarity isn't the same as alignment. If you keep ending up in the same emotional loops, the same relationships, the same guilt, the same exhaustion, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've been trained to call dysfunction normal. Alignment doesn't repeat old wounds. It interrupts them. So ask yourself, do I keep attracting the same situations that leave me depleted? Do I feel like I'm surviving instead of expanding? Do I settle because change feels risky, even if I'm not truly happy? If the answer is yes, you're not in alignment. You're in a pattern. Illusion is sneaky because it wears the mask of comfort. But real comfort doesn't cost you your energy. Real alignment might feel strange at first, not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. If you have to shrink to fit your life, that life isn't yours. If staying the same keeps you from growing, that's not peace, it's illusion. Alignment doesn't require suffering, but it does require honesty. And the first sign you re-waking up is when what used to feel normal starts to feel unbearable. Here's how you know you're living an illusion. You second-guess your own feelings. You talk yourself out of what your body already knows. You tell yourself, it's fine, when everything inside you says it's not. You feel the tension, but override it with logic. That's the trap. That's how illusion works. It trains you to trust your thoughts more than your truth. But thoughts can lie. Thoughts can be programmed. Emotions can't. When you walk into a room and feel drained, when you say yes and feel your stomach drop, when you meet someone and instantly feel unsafe, those reactions are not weaknesses. They are clarity. But if you've been conditioned to ignore them, you'll keep calling misalignment normal. You'll confuse peace with numbness and intuition with anxiety. Alignment begins the moment you stop explaining away your own signals. Ask yourself this: do I regularly talk myself out of what I feel? Do I need permission to honor my emotions? Do I trust my gut, or do I wait for someone else to confirm it? If you're living in alignment, your emotions aren't obstacles. They're guidance. If you're an illusion, you'll keep negotiating with your own soul, and the cost will always be your peace. You know you're living an illusion when love requires you to disappear. When you have to mute your voice to keep the peace. When you dim your light so others won't feel insecure. When you shapeshift to be accepted, you're not being loved. You're being tolerated. That's not alignment. That's performance. Somewhere in the past, you learned that safety came from approval, that love was earned by being easy, quiet, agreeable. And now, even as an adult, you still trade authenticity for connection. You feel it every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you hold back the truth to avoid discomfort. Every time you feel drained after being around people who care about you. If love costs you your truth, it's not love, it's illusion dressed as loyalty. Alignment doesn't ask you to betray yourself. It invites you to return to yourself. So ask yourself this: do I feel free in the presence of others or careful? Do I feel seen or just useful? Do I speak from my truth or from my fear of losing connection? If you're constantly editing yourself just to be chosen, you're not in alignment. You're in survival. And the longer you stay there, the more invisible you'll feel. even in relationships that look perfect from the outside. Alignment feels like being fully present without needing to shrink. It feels like breathing deeper, not walking on eggshells. If you've been shrinking to be loved, it's time to expand to be real. Illusion makes you believe your worth is measured by how much you produce, how much you give, how much you endure. Alignment doesn't. Alignment honors rhythm. It values stillness as much as movement. If you feel guilty for resting, if you only allow yourself peace after exhaustion, if you need to justify doing nothing by calling it recharging for more productivity, you're not in alignment, you're in a performance loop. You were likely taught that rest is laziness, that slowing down is selfish, or that healing is only allowed once you've finished all your duties. But here's the truth. You're a living being, not a machine. Constant output isn't strength, it's disconnect. Alignment respects your energy as sacred. So ask yourself, do I feel relaxed when I'm not accomplishing something? Do I allow rest without shame? Or do I push past my limits just to prove I'm valuable? Illusion rewards burnout with praise. Alignment doesn't need applause. It feels sustainable, gentle, natural. When you're aligned, you rest before you collapse. You pause without guilt. You realize that your presence is the gift, not just what you produce. If your body is whispering for space, if your soul feels overwhelmed by pace, don't wait for permission. Give it to yourself. Because healing doesn't begin when everything is done. It begins when you remember that you're already enough, even in stillness. When you're in alignment, you don't need to be understood to feel valid. You don't need applause to feel worthy. But if you're constantly seeking approval from parents, partners, friends, or strangers, you're living an illusion. Approval is a moving target, and the more you chase it, the further you drift from yourself. You begin to shape your life around what looks acceptable instead of what feels true. You start censoring your desires, second-guessing your instincts, and hesitating every time your soul whispers something bold. Alignment isn't loud, but it is unwavering. It says, even if they don't get it, I trust myself. Illusion, on the other hand, says, I'll wait until they say it's okay. So ask yourself, do I shrink my dreams to make others comfortable? Do I hold back ideas until someone validates them? Do I feel anxious when I act without external reassurance? If the answer is yes, you're not aligned. You're being managed by fear. Real alignment feels like quiet confidence. It may not always be praised, but it always feels clean. When you stop needing others to approve your path, you begin walking it. And in that moment, the illusion of doubt dissolves. Not because someone said you're ready, but because you finally remembered you were never supposed to ask for permission to be who you are. Alignment doesn't always feel easy, but it never feels heavy in the wrong way. The presence of challenge is not the issue. It's the presence of constant inner resistance that reveals the truth. If you feel chronically anxious, tight, or drained, if you have to numb yourself just to get through the day, if your inner state is in conflict with what your life demands, you're not in alignment. You're tolerating a version of life that was likely built to impress others, not to nourish you. Illusion tells you that stress is normal, that peace comes later, after the sacrifice. That tension means you're working hard enough. But alignment doesn't speak in force, it speaks in resonance. It invites a quiet sense of yes, even when things are difficult. So, ask yourself, do I feel calm at the center of what I'm building, or do I feel like I'm holding it all together just to avoid collapse? If peace is always postponed and chaos is constant, you're living in a reality that doesn't fit your frequency. And no matter how much success or validation it brings, the cost will be your inner world. Alignment isn't about comfort, it's about coherence. Your body relaxes, your energy steadies, your choices start to match your truth. If your soul feels noisy, frantic, or scattered, it's not the world attacking you. It's your own path trying to pull you back. There's a moment you feel it, a knowing, a quiet, solid sense of what's right for you. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it just is. But instead of trusting it, you look around. You ask for advice, for signs, for confirmation, hoping someone else will make it easier to believe yourself. That's when you leave alignment, not because you're wrong, but because you've stopped listening. The truth is, you already know. You've known for a while. The relationship that no longer resonates, the job that's draining your spirit, the step you're afraid to take, the choice you're pretending isn't clear yet. When you keep outsourcing your clarity, it fades. Not because it disappeared, but because you stopped turning toward it. Alignment is not loud. It requires stillness, honesty, and the courage to act before you feel ready. So ask yourself, am I waiting for permission to do what I already feel is true? Am I calling it confusion when really it's fear? If the answer is yes, you're not confused. You're disconnected. And reconnection doesn't happen through more questions. It happens through trust. Alignment isn't found by asking the world to tell you who you are. It's found by remembering that you already knew, long before you ever asked. Alignment isn't something you chase. It's something you return to, piece by piece, every time you stop pretending. Illusion doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It hides in your routines, your roles, your rationalizations. But if this video stirred something in you, if even one truth felt like a mirror, then you're already waking up. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're remembering. And that remembering will keep unfolding, as long as you stay honest with yourself. The path won't always feel certain, but it will feel clear. Quietly, deeply, unmistakably clear. If you're walking this path with us, leave a comment below and share the truth that hit you the hardest. And if you felt seen today, subscribe. There's more to remember.